So now we're inside 1541 Mark II, 5¼ inch disk drive, and as it looks from here, it looks quite nice. Everything works in this drive as it should, and it's still good at reading diskettes. I don't know if you can see it, but the reading heads are practically totally clean from dust. It's very important for many different for diskette drives to be clean, especially on the heads, and especially if they don't have anything of any kind of dust protection on the front. On the 5¼ inch drives, there's rarely much dust getting in here, but on some 3½ drives, like the one you can find in the Amigas, you don't have a dust shutter like on many 3½ inch drives, so a lot of dust comes into the drive whenever you're not using the computer, and once you then put in a disk, it starts accumulating on the heads, and you need to clean it off. The 1541 Mark II was an upgrade to the regular 1541 that suffered quite a lot from heat problems, and a popular mod to the original 1541 drive was to mount a fan on top so you could cool the components, and a lot of different shops, stuff like that, started to offer mounting kits and alternative cases, stuff like that, for the original 1541. Those custom cases and case kits usually had a fan or other means of getting the heat out of there. A second thing that is, I don't know if it's unique to Commodore disk drives for the 64 and 128 and the +4 and all those, but the strange thing about their drives was that it's essentially a computer in its own right. Now, the Commodore 64 consists of 64 kilobytes of RAM and a MOS 6502 CPU that runs at 1 megahertz, or about 1 megahertz, depending on PAL or NTSC. Now, the strange thing about the drive is that it also contains a MOS 6502 somewhere down there, and an amount of RAM. So essentially what you had an entire computer standing there reading your disks. But in the end, you couldn't actually use all the resources because they were taken up by the disk drive's own operating system, known as DOS, for Disk Operating System. Now, what you did was essentially you sent commands from the Commodore 64 BASIC and directly to the disk drive, and you could do some special commands to format disks, to copy them block for block, stuff like that really, and it was quite easy to do if you knew the commands to do it. And also the disk drives are known to be quite slow, mainly because of the Commodore serial interface. It's actually a lot slower than it could be. Thus you could get all kinds of cartridges to stuff in there, or software that could boost the transfer rate between the disk drive and the Commodore 64. Another thing to note, first off, is how to set the address. In this it says device, and with this dip switch you could set it to a given address, and in this case the given address is 8, so you would load everything up using load quote mark star asterisk quote mark comma 8. So, but if I were to switch one of these switches over into another position, you can do that with a pencil, sharp pencil or something like that. You would have to use another address like comma 9, comma 10, comma 11, but that also meant you could add another cable to the device port, or sorry, interface port, and you'd essentially daisy chain on up to, I think it was 3 or 4 diskette drives, which was quite important because a lot of people used to run board systems and other online stuff, BBSs, on these machines, and for that to really be usable you'd have to have at least 2 drives and possibly a printer also. But as you can see, these are the reading arms. There's one on top and one below, meaning it can read and write. Sorry, there's only one reading device on this. The one on top just kind of holds the disk down for it to be read on the bottom. Now, in order to use double-sided discs, you had to take it out, flip it around, and put it in again. And in some cases you could actually use single-sided floppy disks, and you could cut a hole in them. I'll just get one. Hold on.